A very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to today's class on human resource accounting. That was a topic that we are dealing with, HRA, human resource accounting. So, in the previous class, we discussed regarding the definition, the introduction to human resource accounting. What is the need for human resource accounting? So, in today's class, we shall discuss regarding the advantages and disadvantages, also called as limitations. So, this class basically focuses on advantages of human resource accounting and similarly the limitations of human resource accounting. So, in short form, human resource accounting is called as HRA. So, let's start with the advantages of HRA. So the first advantage of HRA is HRA provides information for manpower planning. All of us know, right? Every organization will have vacancies because some at some point in the time people retire. Now some of the people leave the organization. Some of the people, you know, uh, they resign, right? Some of the people get transferred. So for various reasons, we find this particular people leaving the particular places of work, right? So whenever these particular vacancies are available, now the vacancies have to be filled. To fill the vacancies, the preliminary task is done by manpower planning. That particular we can organizations we call it as HRP, human resource planning. So HRP does its job. Now, after preparing the final outcome, the action plan, it shares with the recruitment and selection team R&S. Now, the recruitment and selection team hires the employees to the vacancies that are presented by the HRP team. So that's how it goes. Here we are saying one of the advantages of our HRA, this HRA provides information for manpower planning, right? So, when we are making this particular manpower planning, we have we do job analysis. The job analysis we discuss regarding job description, now which basically focuses on the role and responsibilities, duties of an employee in that particular designation, and then we have job specification. What are the educational qualifications required, and how much salary will be paid to that particular. Now, in the HRA part, we focus on the cost aspect. The cost in an organization is a salary that an employee is being offered. So, as and when the times change, see, the last recruitment to that particular designation should have been done in the year 2012. Now, again in 2020, we have got the vacancy, or else the last one should have been in 2008. After 10 years, 2019, again we have vacancy. In this particular 10 years, so much should have changed, right? The last time in 2008, now 50 paise was in circulation, 25 paise was almost on the verge of becoming extinct, right? So 50 paise was still in circulation. Now when we come to 2019, now today the starting denomination is 1 rupee. So that certainly does mean to say the inflation has taken place, right? Inflation has taken place, and the same salary which they were offering 10 or 11 years back cannot be offered now. So the HRA department, the HRA, the Human Resource Accounting Department, it decides the cost. So as per the current standards, as per the current wholesale price index or consumer price index, as per WPI or CPI, the cost of living for an employee at that particular designation will calculate. Based on that, they fix the salary component, right? Because you and me, both of us know, end of the day, when it comes to recruitment and selection, it all boils down to money. It all boils down to the package that an organization is offering. Say if the package is lucrative, if the package is impressive, more number of people will try to get into the job. If the package is not that impressive, less number of people, right? So the success of the recruitment or the demand for that particular designation depends on the cost. That is nothing but the salary. From organization point of view, this cost. Salary from organization point of view is a cost, but from the employee point of view, it is a benefit, right? As a HR, we look through the eyes of the organization. Okay? As a human resource department, we look we look at the employees through the eyes of the organization. So for that reason, we take into consideration this particular, salary component as a cost to the company. So that information will be provided for the manpower planning. So that's the first advantage of our human resource account. The second advantage of human resource accounting is it also provides information for making personal policies. Right? Now, what are these particular personal policies? Right? So, policies with regarding to the employees. Now, how they are to be hired. Say the sources of recruitment. What can be the source of recruitment? And similarly, the stages of selection process. Similarly, the stages of training. Right? At what time should we give training, when to give training, whom to give training, the training component. Similarly, the performance appraisal, right? And this particular increment, all of these particular things, employee benefits and all, everything is linked to the cost. Everything is linked to money. Training involves cost. There's a cost linked to training. Employee facilities involve cost. In order to provide so and so facilities to employee, organization has to invest. That's a cost. Right? Recruitment involves cost. Selection involves cost. So almost all the functions that we have got, there are certain investments that an organization need to make. Now, without those particular investments, those particular activities cannot be carried out. Now, how do you fix this particular recruitment? I mean, sorry, how do you fix the increment? Increment is prepared based on the performance appraisal report. Right now, the performance appraisal says whether his performance is best performance, better performance, good performance, average, or poor. And each of this particular rating has one particular component fixed it. The best performance employee might be getting 8,000 rupees increment. Better employee 6,000 rupees. Good employee like 4,000 rupees. Average 2,000. No, poor employee no increment at all. So depending upon his particular performance. Right. So that's how our human resources accounting, it provides information for making personal policies depending upon the budget, availability of the budget for the department, depending upon the availability of the financial resources to the organization. Right. Depending on them, organization takes a call on the personal policies. Right? Say consistently, if the organization has been running in losses, then organization makes amendments to the personal policy. Right? So certain employee benefits will be withdrawn. Certain employee welfare amenities will be withdrawn because organization does not have the capacity. Take the case of the current times. In the current COVID times, one of the personal policies for all the existing employees, they are not going to hire any new employees, right? Already employees who are a burden to the organization have been asked to leave. Every organization has gone for a cost-cutting measure. As a part of cost-cutting measure, every organization has removed a set of employees from them. And for the remaining employees, the personal policy has been organization will be paying them only 50% of the salary. They'll not be paying them full salary. Right? That's the organization policy. Okay. So policies like that. And in such cases, when organization is finding it extremely difficult even to meet the salary expense of the employees, we cannot expect organization to provide employee benefits. We cannot expect organization to provide non-statutory welfare benefits or some of the statutory welfare benefits. Organization may not be in a capacity to fulfill them. You see how the HRA is going to amend or how it's going to influence this particular personal policies. The third, I mean, how these are advantages, manpower planning or for making person, how it is advantages depending on the HRA looks into the monetary aspects. So HRA tells us this is the budget that we have got. Based on the availability of the budget, the HR department makes allocations. Based on those allocations, we make this personal policy. Right? So that's how HRA is an advantage. Right? So it is giving us the budget. So this is the budget that we have got. In this budget, you decide in your policy what you are going to provide, what you are not going to provide. So that's how it is going to help. The third one, human resource accounting also helps in utilization of human resources, right? So to the extent possible, what organization tries to make every employee a multitasking employee. Doesn't want an employee who is an unitasking. Uni in a sense single tasking or unitasking employees. No, they are no good for an organization. When the worst times come, calamities like this or pandemics like this come, only multitasking employee will be retaining his position. He will be retaining his job. Those particular set of employees who are not multi-talented or multi-skilled, no, they will not be retained. Right. So here, in case of our human resource accounting, so in case of this any of this particular unseen uh, pandemics, or in case when an economy is down the path, is entering into recession, or when the business cycle is down, in such particular times when the revenues are coming down, in that particular times, we try to encourage those particular employees who are having multitasking skills. So since we encourage the employees who are having multitasking skills, that's how human resource accounting helps the organization to make the best utilization of its human power, or the best utilization of its manpower. The fourth advantage of human resource accounting is proper placements. HRA helps the organization to place the right man in the right post depending on his skill and ability. Right. So what is it doing? It is enabling the organization to have the right person for the right job at the right time and right place. That's what an HRA does. Right. So organization is incurring a cost for each and every employee. The cost is a salary. Apart from the salary, organization incurs other costs also, benefits like providing insurance for the entire family and for the employee and his dependents or his family, right? Providing medical benefit, insurance benefit. There are some other benefits like that, which are not visible in the salary component, but are visible when we take into consideration the compensation package, right? So compensation is equal to salary plus benefits. Now benefits are not reflected in the salary, right? Okay. In salary, what do we have? Salary consists of your basic and allowances. And from this basic and allowances, whatever the deductions we have, that is what is represented in your salary statement. Your salary statement does not cover the benefits given to the employee, right? But each of the benefit that is given to the employee, it comes with certain cost. No, there's a cost fixed for this particular. Here, when we are hiring a person, when we are trying to promote a person, right? When we want to fix a person at a particular position, ensure that a right person is chosen, right? Because when a person is being promoted, you're giving him a higher package. The cost increases. Why? Responsibilities increase. Since the responsibilities increase, the stress levels increase, the work pressure increases. Since these particular things increase, work pressure, stress, responsibilities, and all, that's the reason, obviously, the cost factor also shoots up. So, when we are appointing a person at a higher designation, you're giving an excess, excess salary and all. So, ensure that you promote the right person. Right now, what do you mean by the right person? That particular person who has got competency, that particular person who has got capability, that particular person who has proved his self-worth on number of occasions, on whatever opportunities that have been presented before him, on the occasions that he happens to face, he happened to prove himself to the organization and to the HR team time and again. So identify such people and then encourage those people by promoting, right? Let us not bring corruption into these particular places. Let us not promote a person because of his community. Let us not promote him because of the regional feeling, or let us not promote him because of racial feeling. Now let all these particular dirty things not creep into this particular policy of promotion and transfers. Now that's what we mean to say here by proper place. At the same time, when you don't have an employee within the organization of that particular capability and so we'll have to hire him from outside. So then you will have to go for recruitment and selection. So when you're hiring an employee from outside, there and then also ensure that even if it's going to take them, see whether you're I mean you're hiring a person, one particular person, we need a position, an employee for that particular position, right? When you're giving an advertisement, it is the same cost, right? In the newspaper, you're giving an ad like walk-in interview from morning 10 o'clock to evening from 5 o'clock at Royal Park for the designation called territory sales manager with someone's experience, someone's experience, please walk in. No, that paper ad, whether it's for one person or 1,000 persons, it's the same. The cost factor is the same. Similarly, whether five people come or 100 people come from morning to evening, when you're using that particular facility in the Royal Park, it's the same cost. So there are fixed costs that are attached. Now these particular fixed costs do not change. So when the fixed costs do not change, why compromise on quality? Why do we need to compromise and then complete the task just for the heck of it, just for the sake of it? When we are doing, let us do it wholeheartedly. When we're doing, let us ensure that we get the best. Right? So that's what we mean to say here by proper placements. The next advantage, the fifth advantage, this human resource accounting increases morale and motivation, right? It increases the morale of the employee as well as the motivation of the employee. Now, how do you increase this particular morale of the employee? By paying him salary on time, right? The first and foremost is paying salary on time and providing all those benefits which you have promised at the time of appointment. Right? Job offer letter has been given. Now, after taking the job offer letter on the appointed day, he will come and report to the organization. Then you'll ask him to go and get himself physically examined by that particular physician which he proposed. So he goes to that particular primary health care center, the physician whom you have proposed, and from him he gets certified that he is medically fit. Now, once he's being certified as a medically fit, then you give him the appointment letter. There's a difference between job offer and there's a difference between appointment letter. In the appointment letter, you clearly state what are his roles, what is his responsibility. So, what is his salary, right? So, and what are his benefits? And finally, compensation. Right? Salary might be like 20,000 per month. So that comes down to 2.4 lakh. And other benefits include 80,000. So 2.4 plus 0.8 lakh. So the total compensation package is 3.2 lakh per month. So in the appointment letter, they clearly state that the 3.2 lakh is the compensation that is given to you. All right. And then when you break it out, and then when you study it closely and break it out, among 3.2, 2.4 is your salary, right? That is gross pay. That is also not net pay, that's gross pay, including the deductions. And later the remaining 0.8, what is the 80,000? That comes as a benefit. What are the benefits? Insurance policy and medical benefit for your entire family member. All right. So these are the things that have been provided. So now you have salary is taking care of your physical needs. Roti, kapda, makan, food, clothing, shelter. It is taking care of your physical needs. And the benefits which they are providing, it is taking care of your social needs. So tomorrow anything goes wrong with any of your family member, you need not run from pillar to post, or you need not stretch out your hands before anyone to help you out. You have your organization which is going to take care of you in case of health emergency. Similarly, when you're returning back or something goes back, anything happens to your life, there is again this organization through its particular life insurance, through its particular insurance policy, which is going to take care of it, which is going to give you a benefit in lump sum. Correct. So life has been covered and your health has been covered. So physical needs are covered, social needs are covered. When your physical needs and social needs are covered, obviously you don't have to worry much, right? You don't have to worry much. So when the worry decreases, what happens? Your morale increases. Now you will have something called as gratitude. My organization is taking care of me so well, so I should do something for the organization. And slowly you start developing something called as a sense of belongingness with the organization, right? So that slowly creeps in. Parallelly, whenever you excel in your work, whenever you perform well, whenever you excel and then you do an extraordinary work, you have certain achievements, some achievements in your place of work, organization rewards you, right? Organization, what does it do? It rewards you. It's not an award, it's a reward. There's a difference, right? Award does not include monetary part. Reward includes token plus monetary part. Award includes only token, the token of memory. That particular statue or that particular award that you have, that's a token of memory. Now, reward includes your token of memory as well as the monetary part. Right? So they are going to reward you. This particular rewards, the incentives, these particular things, they are going to motivate an employee to excel in his space of work. So that's how your human resource accounting increases your morale as well as motivation. At the same time, human resource accounting also helps an organization to attract best human resources. As I told you, in the entire process of recruitment and selection, right, employees, especially talented and skilled employees, are drawn towards packages. Which packages? Compensation packages, right? When you don't have any work experience, when the job, or when you are being offered a job, you don't negotiate at all. For all that is being done, I mean, for the simple task or simple reason of being hired, you'll be very, very glad. You'll be very glad that you are being hired by the company, right? So you are not going to negotiate there. But say you have got 5 years of experience or you have got 6 years of experience and you have already proved your worth and you have, and that particular skill which you developed, it transformed into an expertise. You became an expertise in that field of work. So when you're moving from your current company to the next company, this time you are not going to, move your head silently. Okay. So this time you are not going to be silent. This time you speak out, right? And when you speak out, you negotiate, you demand. You demand with this particular people. Now, what do you demand? You demand on the salary aspects, on the salary components. Unless you are being provided. So our HRA attracts our best human resources, because at the end of the day, when we look at the recruitment and selection, the best in the industry are drawn towards the best packages. Whoever is going to pay better, they're going to move, right? Because for a person who is very confident of his talent, for a person who is very confident of his skill, he always wants the best package, right? The seventh advantage of our human resource accounting, it helps in designing training and development programs, right? Now, training programs can be, tailor-made, which suit the need of the employees. But at the same time, the cost factor is not a fixed cost factor. The cost factor is a variable cost factor, right? So, as a particular training, you can get a particular training for just 50,000 rupees. The same training can also be charged 5 lakh rupees. It depends upon the trainer, right? A person who does not have any experience, zero work experience, for 1 week training, he might be charging, 50,000 rupees. A person who has got 15 years of training record, or 16 years, and who has already been listed as one of the best trainers in public sector enterprises, now that particular person will be charging 5 lakh rupees for 1 week training. So this particular cost is being determined by this particular trainer. So depending, similarly, organization, depending on the budget it has got at its disposal, right? Depending on this particular budget it has got disposal, it decides which particular trainer to go with, whether to go with this particular trainer or with the experienced trainer. Depends upon the budget that is being allotted by the HR department for the training and development programs. Based on that, you make your choices. So that's how our HRA here helps in designing the training and development programs. And finally, the last advantage of our human resource accounting is it provides valuable information to investors, with the present investors as well as the future investors. Based on that, they can take a decision, right? Now, what is this particular valuable information that is being provided today? Human resource has become the most important resource. Let's take into consideration the startup companies, right? At one point of time, when you want to be an entrepreneur, you approach a financial institution, especially a bank. Now the bank is going to ask you, no, what I mean, how much, what are your cost heads, and then what are your sources of revenue, when are you going to reach your break even, right? On that particular break even time period, your sources of revenue and other cost heads, right? Based on this particular uh, uh, financial documents that you prepare, funds flow statement or cash flow statement, balance sheets, based on this particular thing, they decide whether to fund you or not to fund you, right? So nobody is going to ask that particular bank which is going to give you loan, that particular bank will not be asking you, what about manpower? What kind of employees are you going to hire? And who are the employees you are going to employ? What about them? They are not going to ask those particular questions. So that was in the past. Today in the startup culture, with the availability of angel investors and other financial institutions like investment bankers and so on and so forth, venture capitalists. So venture capitalists, angel investors, with these options being available and banks taking a back seat. So the concern now is not on how much amount you're investing, where you're investing, what are the sources of revenue. It does not mean we are going to completely neglect that. That is still there. That is still important. People still look at that, but not just at that. Previously, they looked just at that, but today it is not just at that. We are also going to look onto the human resource, because today's businesses are, which are especially in the service driven sector, today's businesses are driven by people. Today's businesses are driven by knowledge workers. So the angel investor is more concerned about the people whom you bring on board, the people whom you are going to work in the coming years, the people that you are going to hire. That makes a difference, right? So this valuable information that we give to the investors. Based on that, they decide how much money to pump into your business or how much money to take away from your business. So this key information is being provided by the HRA, human resource accounting, to the investor. So that's how the valuable information is given. So all these are the advantages of our HRA. Now let's coming back to the limitations. There are 9 limitations. Among them, the first 4 are the primary major limitations. The first limitation or the first drawback of human resource accounting, we take into consideration based the valuation of an human asset. Human asset is nothing but the employee. The valuation of employees is based on the assumption that they are going to remain in the organization for a specific period of time. HRA's basic premise is that we calculate the cost based on, a certain period of time, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or like that. But this assumption is wrong, because today employee mobility is very high. So when employee mobility is very high, the valuation that we are doing is not accurate. Right? When you know fully well that it is not accurate, doesn't make sense. So that again is the major bottleneck or major limitation of our human resource accounting. The second limitation is the human resource accounting, the HRA, leads to dehumanization in the organization. Right? Like we create a set of attitude in the organization, high net worth, highly skilled employees who are paid, who are paid large amounts, and the regular employees who are paid nominal amounts. So when organization tries to give special attention or special, privileges to the people who are highly talented and skilled, the normally talented or average talented skilled employees, now these employees get demotivated. So you're clearly making a distinction in the manpower. You're clearly making a distinction in the human resource. End of the day, both of them are human. End of the day, both of them are made of flesh and blood. Right? Nobody is born with sterner staff, or nobody is born with this particular, nobody is a celestial being like an angel or so on. So they are humans. The talent varies from person to person. So let us first treat them as humans. Let us not show these privileges which bring in prejudices in the workplace. And the third limitation, in case of financial accounting, there are certain specific accounting standards. But in human resource accounting, we do not have that specific accounting standards. In case of finance, these particular accounting standards are universal. Across all the organizations, they follow the same. But that clarity is lacking in case of human resource, because every organization has got its own standards of evaluating this human resource in the organization. And the fourth one, there are no specific and clear-cut guidelines. When we mean by cost, what comes out of the cost? What are the cost heads? There are no specific and clear-cut guidelines. Similarly, when we say valuation, when we say value of human resource, what constitutes value, what constitutes cost, differs from organization to organization. For some organization, which can be a cost, for the other organization, that can be a value. So when we have this ambiguity, now that valuation systems may not be true. Now that again is the major limitation. The fifth limitation is the life of human being is uncertain. So its value is also uncertain. When life has got no uncertainty, so we cannot be placing. And the next one, the sixth one, calculating the value of human resource is not so easy, because it is the most difficulty to calculate the value of the quality of any person. Quantity you can value, but how about quality? How about something like honesty of a person? How do you calculate the honesty of a person? How do we calculate generosity of a person? How do we calculate benevolence? How do we calculate morality? So there are certain things which you cannot quantify. So this again becomes an limitation for our human resource accounting. Similarly, it's jealousy to see high value of other employees can decrease the efficiency of any employee, because he can think, why my price is so low and other employees is so high. These particular the differences in this particular cost, salary differences can definitely lead to jealousy. They are definitely going to create imbalances. People working in the same department, same designation, with same work experience and same age, when we start showing variances or variations, it will definitely demotivate. The eighth one, from human resource accounting, we cannot get short period benefits like general historical accounting system. So the fruits of human resource accounting can be only seen in the long run, not in the short run. Indian Company Law 1956, Indian Income Tax Law 1961, and other legal laws are no rule for showing HRA, human resource assets, in the balance sheets. Now, all these particular laws, company law, income tax law, other legal laws, they do not show HRA in their balance sheet. That again is a Major limitations. So all these are the limitations of a HRA. We have got less than 30 seconds of time for this particular class to wind up. So I conclude my class here. Tomorrow when we come back, when we start our class